All right, everyone, welcome on board the beautiful Explora One. We have Thomas here right behind me. In addition to this wonderful sea day, while we're coming to Hawaii, we're about 2.5 days from Vancouver, halfway to Honolulu and Hilo right now. So today we're going to talk about Explora Journeys and everything that we have to look forward to on board. The first thing I want to do, though, is do a short video, just kind of introduce this incredible brand. Thank you all. All right, I think I share my video because I can't see myself. And I want to make sure that we're all able to see me. I don't remember how to do it. Anyway, hope you all have been doing really, really well. We are just going to leave it like this for now. We are on board Explora One. Once again, for anyone who is watching us live on Facebook, tell me a little bit about Explora Journeys.
Yeah, so happy to give you kind of a overview of our brand. So we're the new kids on the block, as it were. So we launched on August 1st. So we're still well within our first year of operation. We have launched as Scott was saying, Explore One, which is a 461 suite, about 900 passenger guest capacity, brand new build ship, and she's sailing all over the world in our inaugural year. But really, she's just the first of many ships that we'll be bringing to market. We have a total of 6 ships ordered for the fleet, and those will all be completed and operational by the year 2028. And what really Explora Journeys is looking to bring to the luxury cruising market is a really essentially a hotel at sea or luxury resort at sea. Once you all get on board, and you get a chance to experience it for yourself, you'll certainly feel that hotel like ambiance and overall design from the ship perspective here on board all of our beautiful ships here to come.
Yes, and beautiful is an understatement. This is a beautifully designed ship. Who actually designed it?
So actually, so the what's really interesting is that the silhouette of her, so the exterior design of the ship was designed by a world-class, world-renowned yacht designer. His name is Martin Francis from the UK. And when you take a look at the silhouette of Explorer One and her sister ships, you'll see that she has kind of a non-traditional design or footprint. She has more of a kind of a yacht-like design, the way she kind of slopes towards the back and has that marina-looking platform on the back of her to really distinguish her from some of the other larger vessels out there. I often say, Scott, that there's really with Explorer One's footprint and her sister ships coming out, that she kind of hits that Goldilocks zone. She's not too big, she's not too small. She's kind of in that sweet spot in terms of overall amenities and features.
Yeah, which on board we've got a lot of different options. So we've got right now 5 sea days, actually 5.5 if you count the 2 p.m. the 2 p.m. arrival in Hilo, which means that we have a lot of space to spread out. And on a ship like this, you're not going to get bored because we have 4 pools. One of them's an indoor pool that has a retractable roof. So when it's nice and sunny, like the Caribbean, it's open, where right now we're in the cooler North Pacific climate, it's closed. But then also the other pools are heated, plus a lot of hot tubs spread out across the ship. When you design the ship, the concept of a yacht is really coming up for a lot of new brands. Like you have the new Ritz-Carlton collection as well as other yacht collections. Is that a trend that Explorer wanted to disrupt?
Yeah, so when we came to market, we did a lot of market research. We surveyed over 20,000 luxury travelers and asked them what they're looking for in a brand new luxury travel experience. We didn't even specify that we were looking to bring a ship to market. We just asked in general, hey, what is it that you're looking for a luxury experience when you're traveling? And the number one response that we got was space. So we really took that to heart and designed a ship that accommodated a lot of that request in space, but not space in terms of just the suites or the accommodation, but space throughout the ship, from restaurants to public spaces, and really looking to highlight that and emphasize that sense of luxury, because a lot of guests equate space with luxury, and that's really what we look to accomplish here when designing Explore One.
Yes, and let's talk about the space a little bit. What's the maximum capacity that we would have for passengers on board?
Yeah, so maximum capacity is just above 900 guests total. That is if we filled all 461 of our beautiful suite accommodations. So it's sub 1,000 guests, and really what's great about the way we've approached the market is that we're not looking to fill the ship to always be at 100% capacity, which means our pricing is going to stay pretty stable and not going to fluctuate depending on demand. But even if we hit somewhere in that 75 to 80% occupancy, we're completely happy, because that means that there's going to be enough of a vibe, enough of an energy and a liveliness to the ship to really offer an amazing experience for our guests on board.
Yeah, and the cabins or suites, the suites, the residences, the penthouses, they're all max capacity of 3 passengers. This is not a ship that's going to be overwhelmed and overrun by large groups and large families. So this is a great place to escape. As you can see, we're streaming live on Starlink internet, and the internet is as fast as you need it to be to do anything that you want, including work. So as you're trying to escape, you don't have to completely disconnect, especially if you've got a business to run and you want to stay connected to the world. So on board, there are a number of restaurants. We have 4 specialty restaurants, one that is curated by a Michelin star chef, and we have the chef's kitchen. Plus, we have Emporium Marketplace, which is not a buffet.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about them.
Yeah, so culinary. So going back to that consumer report that we did, and they came back with the idea of providing a lot of space. The other big preference of them of those surveyed was choice.
Mhm.
And what we wanted to do was provide a lot of choices for our guests, not only from the public space perspective to our suite offerings, but also in terms of culinary. So what we did is that we're offering 6 true sit-down restaurants on board that really run the spectrum from an ultra casual, light bite and by the pool to a more, as you mentioned, a Michelin concept restaurant on board. And so there's several different ways that guests can really enjoy themselves from a culinary perspective. Even on top of that, we have the ability for our guests to enjoy complimentary in-suite dining 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We also have light bites in our Crema Cafe, where we were just having a cup of coffee. So there's plenty of ways for our guests to get their fill in terms of our one-of-a-kind culinary offerings. And that's the hard part too, Scott, is that you can talk about and you can show pictures of just how amazing food is, but you have to be here to be able to taste just how different we are from every other product that is out there.
Yeah, and I think we even forgot something. We have 24-hour in-suite dining that is included. So there's no extra delivery fees. There's no extra price tags on those. It's all included. You can get it delivered for breakfast, like I've done the last couple of mornings. Or if you just decide you want to go out and you want to stay in and watch some videos together in your suite, just order in-suite dining.
Hankering for French fries at 10:30 at night, you can have French fries delivered to your suite, and it's just as warm and salty as you can get them anywhere else.
Yep. And some of the menus that we find in all the other restaurants have inspired that in-suite dining menu. So it's not just something that's a quick fix. It is still truly luxury level dining in suite as well. What's your favorite dish?
Favorite dish? I think it's gonna have to depend on my mood and the time of day. But if I had, gun to my head, I would have to say that, I think it's Sakura, which is our Asian fusion restaurant here on deck 5. It serves an amazing beef teriyaki, which is phenomenal in and of itself. But then when you pair it with the fact that we have walks of the day or walk-ish orders, if you will, you can really start to pair it and create a pretty unique dish, and it changes every day. So you can really have something that's distinguishable. So if I had to really choose, which I know it's really hard to do, I'll have to say our beef teriyaki that we serve there in Sakura.
Yes, Sakura is probably one of my favorite places on the ship. The design is so incredibly beautiful. I was eating there last night, just watching the cherry blossoms on the ceiling just dance around as the ship kind of swayed and ebbed with the current. I love the bento box.
Yes,
like
I had that for lunch.
And when it's warm and you're sitting outside at the Astern pool, they'll bring that bento box to you, so you can enjoy some sushi, a salad, a little bit of a dessert while you're just lounging there on the sun. And then also downstairs in Folie Rouge, their souffle of the day, perfect way to end the night. You don't even have to have your full meal there.
No.
Just go to Marble & Co., have a steak and the beautiful caviar potatoes, and then stop down to Folie Rouge and just order the souffle of the day.
Well, what's nice too is that a fun fact, I don't know if you know this, but so we have different souffles of the day. They change throughout the week. But if you want a traditional chocolate souffle, you can have that. You just place the order 2 days in advance, and the team can make you a chocolate souffle when you join us for dinner in Folie Rouge.
Yes. Oh, I'm gonna get hungry here. I mean, it's almost 11 o'clock here, so I guess we are coming up to lunchtime here soon. So tell me a little bit about the chef's class. Who inspired it? What is it?
So it's actually, I actually did this class a couple days ago, which it was my first time doing it, but it was designed by the 2 married chefs here, Chef Karen and Chef Jean-Louis, and they're the brainchilds behind it. They were tapped by our head of culinary and tasked with delivering a hands-on experience for our luxury guests that were looking to really challenge themselves in the kitchen or learn a new recipe or master a recipe that they've always wanted to. And so what it is that it sits off of the Explora Lounge on deck 11. They have their own dedicated space. So you first start by sitting and gathering around a table and getting to know everyone else in the class and learning where they're from, what their experience is in the kitchen, and maybe a favorite dish of theirs. And then you are then kind of given an explanation of what we're going to be cooking for the day, the history behind the dish that's going to be taught, and then you move into the kitchen and then you go step by step and really get a chance to learn how to different techniques. Like for example, the class that I did was tortellini and ravioli making. So we learned how to thin out the pasta so that it's malleable enough to be able to make the ravioli and the tortellini with, and how to fill it and how to prep it. So it was a really cool hands-on experience. All in all, that class ended up being about 2.5 hours. So you really get your money's worth there. And in addition to that, you get some pretty cool swag. You get an apron, a dish towel, a chef's hat, and a nice recipe card to go with it.
Yeah.
So it's a really complete experience for those who are looking to learn something new in the kitchen or learn a new recipe, or if they just want to kill some time when we're at sea here.
Yeah. Which I did it back in February. As some of you know, this is my second time on Explora One. I did a Miami to Cologne, Panama back in February, and one of my favorite things so far is the consistency between the food, every single meal identical to last time, which for anyone who likes to eat out like I do, that's impossible. You can go to a land restaurant and order the same meal 2 times in a row. It's 2 separate meals. Here, identical presentation, identical taste. Consistency is down, and the service continues to blow me out of the water. Not literally.
No. Well, but to that point, I think the service is so well done because we have nearly a 1-to-1 host to guest ratio, and that's if we're at full capacity. But when we're not at full capacity, we certainly have even more. We have more hosts than we do guests on board. So that really lends itself to having a really hands-on experience where you're waiting on hand and foot.
Yeah, and you can't sit down in a bar, in crema, at a restaurant, at the pool, without having somebody walk up to you within a few minutes to offer you something. So service is definitely one of the biggest reasons Explora One is going to be successful.
Absolutely, no, and the team on board does a great job in delivering all the promises that we make from a sales team perspective. And what's great about the host team on board is that they're not all they don't come from existing cruise lines, or they don't have an existing cruise background. Actually, about 60% of our hosts on board have come from hotel backgrounds, and they've never worked on a ship before. This is the first time that they've had an opportunity to work on board. So they bring a whole different level of perspective, whole different level of service that is not traditional to the cruising marketplace.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about our ports of call. So Explora One has been doing a grand coming out tour, sailing all around the globe. We are on the inaugural Hawaiian cruise right now, or journey, and then the ship will be making its way slowly back to the Med for this summer. Why hasn't Explora decided on one home port?
So the way we wanted, so when you're launching a brand new brand, you want to really be strategic about how you're making her available to different markets around the world. So when we first launched Explora One, it was on August 1st out of Copenhagen, and then that kicked off our Baltic region, and we stayed in the Baltics through and in around the British Isles until late August, and then moved up to Iceland and Greenland in September, and then for Canada and England for our fall foliage season, and then of course we spent our winter season in the Caribbean in the Caribbean territories, and then coming across and moving westward. So the reason why we designed that is because it again allows a lot of variety, a lot of different markets to come aboard and take advantage of her. Most of our journeys are between 7 to 11 nights. That's the sweet spot that we found with our guest demographic. And with that, most of our journeys have overnight stays or later departures in the ports call that we're visiting. So that was really strategic. And oftentimes when you see ships doing home porting, they're visiting the same destinations. They're not adding variety, so it kind of becomes dull after a while. And I suspect maybe in the years to come, when we have more than one ship in the water, we will have more regionalized approach to it. But again, we want to provide diversity.
Yeah,
that's the overall goal behind that decision.
Yeah, and like as right now, the options for Explora One are still beautiful ports. Like just because she's moving around quite a bit, we are hitting a lot of very unique ports of call. And when Explora 2 comes out this summer, that's going to continue just allowing us to go to these small ports, which that's one of the other beautiful parts of a small ship, the types of ports that we can get into. Like when we are going on Explora 2 over Thanksgiving, we are going to some of the smaller Caribbean islands that large ships just can't go because they don't have the infrastructure. So that's one of the greatest things about being on a small luxury level ship.
Well, and also to that point too, while we do visit smaller ports, we do have our embarkation and disembarkation ports be some of the larger ports, so that it's easier for guests to arrive and to disembark from. So airlift is gonna be pretty easy, but it's those in between
Yep.
ports of all that are really the special ones. So.
Yeah, because even like when I got off in Cologne, it was seamless.
Yeah.
Explorer helped arrange the transfer, got us to Panama City, and got to the airport super easily.
Yeah.
So even though we weren't flying out of Cologne, it was still super easy to get around. So let's talk about just the consistency and the feedback. So I know feedback's been a very big part of the ethos of Explora Journeys. My personal experience just between the two sailings is there's been constant improvement. So the feedback that we give in the surveys is listened to. Like, for example, the first time that I was on the ship, finding the muster video was a little cumbersome. This time I walked into the suite, turned on to the TV, and it just pops right up. And I'm assuming that that's because we had left feedback. And the crew, like all the crew continues to excel. Where do you see the brand going with all the feedback that you're continuing to get?
Well, certainly we've been really heartened by the positive feedback that we've gotten, and of course, we're really being a young brand, we're very hungry for feedback, and we need to know what we're doing well, what we can improve on, and what the expectations are for our guests moving forward. And that should be the idea moving forward across not just with Explore One, but with the rest of the ships that we'll be launching. So when you're starting a brand new brand, we have to listen to the customer and to your consumers, or else you won't have any opportunity to grow. You're going to go in a different direction than was otherwise needed. So really, it's I think the sky's the limit for us in terms of what sort of offerings we can bring to the market. And when we're a young startup like we are, we're a little bit more nimble and agile enough to make some of these smaller pieces of feedback or requests become a reality, because it's something that is going to help us really differentiate ourselves from the other products and other brands out there.
Yeah, no, for sure. And Explora Journeys is a small subset of a company owned by the Aponte family, the MSC Group, which means they are privately owned. And so they're not responsible to shareholders. They're not necessarily responsible to maximizing profit returns to those shareholders. They can do what's right for the passengers to give a great experience, because that's ultimately what's going to make everything successful in the long run.
Yeah, we often say that when you're always looking out for what your stock ticker price is or what investors are wanting, you're making changes in the near term, and you're only looking towards the near term. But for us, being a family-owned company and one that's privately held, we're able to plan for the long term.
Yep.
We know slow and steady pace that's going to allow us to be successful in the future, and so that's the approach that we're taking.
Awesome. So I want to change pace a little bit, talk about the demographics on the ship. So just for everyone, the target market is anyone that wants to sail. Specifically, if you are somebody that typically would do a land vacation.
Yeah.
The ship is designed in a way that you walk on, it doesn't feel like you're on a cruise ship. It doesn't feel like you're on a tiny little yacht that's going to be going around the ocean. It feels like you're in a hotel. And it was purposely designed for that. And so that lends itself really well for those people that are interested in looking for something new, that don't necessarily want to go to the same resort in the Med year after year. They want something new, or if you want to just try to visit new islands. What type of age demographic has Explorer been seeing?
So right now, with guests that have booked us and sailed us, our median age is about 60.1, which is actually pretty great, and actually the consumer base that we're looking to target. So that means those folks are likely still working professionals. They've reached that C-level position in their career. They love to travel well, just don't have a lot of time to travel. So a 7-night or 8-night sailing is the perfect getaway for them from the office or from work, so they can really unplug and relax. But also, we're looking to target that, as you mentioned, that new to cruise demographic, because of the overall offerings that we have. That's very similar to what a luxury hotel would offer. And I honestly think that cruising is the best way to travel. There's the old adage of when you cruise, you only have to unpack once, and you get to see multiple destinations, as opposed to schlepping bags from location to location if you're doing a land-based experience. So there's really a lot of pros to being able to be out on the water and explore a region or a territory in greater detail there. And actually, just because we're skewing in that 60 or the early 60s, that doesn't mean that we don't get younger families on board.
Yeah.
I know that during our past festive season, we saw a lot of multi-generational travelers sail with us from young kids to preteens to teenagers to parents and then their parents. So it's really great to know that every demographic will be well served here. Now, with that being said, this is certainly a product geared more towards adult couples. But it's good to know that if you have younger members in your family that want to travel with you, then they're going to be well taken care of here on board.
Yeah, and I'm 39. I am not the youngest person on the ship, which is actually saying a lot for a luxury brand. Usually luxury brands are definitely skewing older than 60 years old. And the fact that I'm on board and there's people younger than me is really nice.
But also, traditionally, when you have a guest demographic that's older, that means the ship is really dormant and quiet by 10 o'clock or 10:30. There's nothing happening, but that is certainly not the case here. We have a DJ going all the way through until midnight or after midnight if you'd like. So it's really looking to serve a really younger, more active demographic.
Yep. Which actually, that's down the list a little bit. So we'll just jump down there. What's the entertainment like on the ship?
So it varies. So and I think right now on our journey where we have 5 nights at sea or 5.5 nights, we're really testing our entertainment capacity. So first and foremost, we have 3 main lounges on board. So we have our Journeys Lounge, which is our main entertainment space, that has a full stage and accommodates a 6-piece band, I believe, and then we move into some of our other lounges, which is one where we're having this presentation from today, which is our Stern Lounge. It's more of a piano bar, jazz club type experience or vibe within the space. And then that third lounge is going to be the Explora Lounge on deck 11, a little bit more subdued, a little bit more intimate space where we have a grand piano there, a beautiful sideway grand piano that offers entertainment. And those are just for for evening shows, but there's also entertainment throughout the day, from everything from trivia to painting, which
arts and crafts.
There's there's board games, high tea. So there's any number of ways for our guests to say engage in interacting with the onboard experience, and even casinos. We have, when we're at sea, that means the casino is open all day, every day, and guests come in and play there to their heart's content.
Yeah. You won't get bored. If you want to be doing something, there is plenty to do on Explora Journeys. From the trivia during the day, I'm not a trivia person, so I go to arts and crafts. And then if you're not an arts and crafts person, you can relax by the pool. So you can really find your ocean state of mind on Explora Journeys, which until I had been on the ship, I really didn't know what that was. Like, it's a nice concept. I thought it was just a marketing statement, but it really is getting off the ship and feeling rejuvenated, and you're connected with not just the ship and the destination, but you make friends on board. And like when I got off in February, people at work were like, "You are looking much more refreshed than I've ever seen you coming back from a vacation." And they know that I'm always gone. So that's saying something. So last thing I want to talk about before we jump into time for questions is, what's Explora Journey like for the LGBTQ community?
Oh, it's certainly inclusive. So what's great about our programs that we have on board, we actually have 3. I don't know if we talked about it. So of course the LGBTQ community has one that's called
Prism.
Yes. And there, have you gone to the meetups? So there's there's meetups throughout the journey, and you get to meet other members in the community and can kind of engage with them. And so you always have somebody to connect with throughout the particular journey. That's led by our entertainment team. And then the other club that we have on board is called Club Soda. It's for those guests who don't drink alcohol, and they're, again, more like-minded individuals who can all kind of gather together and really have that sense of community. And then with the last community we have on board that we do little meetings on is our solo travelers.
Mm-hmm.
So solo travelers often, especially in cruising or especially on long journeys like this, are fairly common. So you can have again, build a sense of a community, a network on board, so you know that you always have friends with you here. But I would say we're fairly inclusive for the LGBTQ community, and I know the Prism group does a great job of welcoming everyone there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's done very, very well. The Prism program, easily probably one of the best that I've seen on the seas outside of Virgin Voyages, but Virgin is literally built for the community from the ground up. Where Prism, it's people are engaged. We come in, we socialize, and then we can even do cocktail parties. We can arrange dinners together. So it's a great way to kind of get out and meet. And also, nobody cares what your sexuality is on the ship. People can dress the way that they want to dress and be very comfortable. So you can be yourself on board Explora Journeys.
Yeah, that's why we have a pretty eclectic group throughout the year, and really I've been very fortunate to sail 5 times. This is my 5th sailing now, and every sailing I've done, the demographic has looked different, and it's involved. It kind of changes by the region or the journey that we're doing, but it's good to see that we're getting quite a wide variety of guests on board that are not just the traditional cruiser. So that's been really encouraging to see.
Yeah, no, it is. And like in this sailing is about half the number of people on compared to what it was in February, but it doesn't feel like it's half the number of people. Like we've still have a lot of people that are engaged. Everyone is friendly on the ship. Like you can't walk by a host or a passenger without, yeah, like everyone is friendly. We all talk. You hold the elevators for people. This is not a ship where you can really isolate unless you really want to, and then you just go find your ocean state of mind with the book on a lounger or just on your terrace.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you very much for all of this. Everyone, if you have questions, please put them into the chat. If you are watching this live on Facebook, you can join the Zoom room to ask any questions that you have, or you can shoot me an email and I can follow up after. Vanessa, appreciate that you're excited about the 900 person capacity. I will say that that is close to the max capacity, and that requires every bed to be filled, which for anyone who cruises regularly or even just travels, that's not going to happen unless it's like,
especially for being a brand new brand.
Yeah,
I think we'll eventually get there to be at 100% capacity. But like I said earlier, I think we're fairly comfortable with being. We built the overall experience on board to be one that when we're in the 75-80% range, it's really going to be just as much as if we were at full capacity on board.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, thank you, everyone. I will go ahead and end up here. Thank you again, Tomas. Everyone, if you have questions or if you would like to chat more about Explora Journeys, please feel free to send me an email, scott@rainbowgetaways.net. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Happy Passover to all of our Jewish friends, and enjoy your days. Bye, y'all.